I mean, 6.79 already bringing out some different picks and bans.
Yeah, I mean, the power of that lich. Whoa, Danovis just got a shout out.
Crazy!
I saw that. Danovis got a shout out.
It was up there for a split second.
I hope they don't think I'm Danovis again, because that happens. Shout out to Blake.
So, everybody, welcome! This is Southern Cross Dota, Tides Wrath Season 3, our Game 2 versus URNADO versus TOA. Thank you very much to our sponsors, TT Esports, as well as Southern Cross Dota for hosting this event. Please go to southerncrossdota.com to find out all of your Oz, New Zealand, Oceanic Dota needs. I am the Spectre. Joining me is Daredevil Dan, and we're very happy to be casting this time slot right now for you. The first game...
I freaking love Patch. I love Patch Day.
Patch Day, 6.79. Crazy. And URNADO, taking out that first game, I gotta say, pretty easily in the end. They were up about 18,000 in both Golden Experience, and just completely snowballed. The Lone Druid, the Queen of Pain, and Weaver all winning their lanes, with, of course, help from the supports. Can't forget them.
5 seconds.
And that kind of early game advantage was too much for TOA to overcome, so... Do we see a change up of strategies here, or what do you think TOA needs to do?
Honestly, their lanes were quite weak. I think the Clinks pickup was fun and interesting, but it made their lanes weak. They went defensive tri lane, with, you know, kind of an aggressive lineup. I just wasn't a huge fan of really how they landed and the last pick Clinks. Like, Clinks is fun and all to watch, but it didn't. I don't think it worked at all.
No, I have to agree with you there. I think Clinks maybe is an offlane position because he would have been able to soak up some experience. But I guess he wouldn't really have because it was up against the Lone Druid, so they weren't going to be utilizing those pool camps. They did run that aggressive tri-lane, so... I think it was a case of being out-drafted and out-laned. I mean, as we were talking about in that game, as soon as that Lincoln Sphere was picked up by the Weaver, they had to pretty much waste a high priority spell to pop that Lincoln's just so you could get off a stun kind of lockdown with an Orchid, and that's not even a guaranteed kill. So
yeah, it really wasn't optimal. They had no sort of low skills. They had a lot of AOE low skills, but nothing to get it done really quickly.
And URNADO first pick Batrider, so he did cop a massive 10 damage nerf to his right-click attacks. And the jungle has been changed around. Instead of having that hard and small camp next to each other on the side of the Dire, it's hard and medium. Of course, he is on the Radiant this turn, so we might see him running through that kind of triangle tri-stack with now small, medium, medium.
Yeah, it's about the same efficiency, but you can do all sorts of things playing around with stacking and things, so it'll be interesting. Obviously, if you get to a triple stack or a quad stack, you're going to get mud golems. So that could be a little bit bad, but hey,
10 seconds
you never know, right?
Yeah, and Timbersaw is going to be the first pick for TOA, followed up by Rubik. I think Rubik is pretty much always a good pickup. I mean, he kind of falls off with big AoE damage nukes, but then... You know, positioning fixes that. It's not kind of a fault of the hero. I mean, any support's kind of going to go down to that. So, at the moment, he's going to be able to steal Firefly, which is hilarious to watch, quite frankly. As well as being able to steal off that Lasso Flame Break. Even Sticky Napalm. Sticky Napalm applies for Rubik's spells as well, doesn't it? It's got some weird interaction.
I can't remember with
Sticky
Napalm.
10 seconds to go.
Yeah, because you
should be able
cast
to
it.
get Sticky, yeah.
Yeah, you can. You can take Sticky. It's a casted spell.
5
Come on.
seconds.
Come on.
No, I know. I'm just thinking because I mean, to be honest, you can manually cast orbs and he can't steal those.
Yeah, but that's an orb. All he can't steal is orbs or
Yeah.
passives.
It's very sad. Well, you don't cast passives, so fair enough. But
Well, yeah, well, exactly.
but I mean, Timbersaw is the first pick. That's what I was going to talk about more before I got sidetracked by Rubik and his jittering around. Timbersaw's a great pick. He did receive a small nerf in the patch. That Chakram now costing 100 mana instead of 75 at that first level. In fact, I think it was increased at all levels by 25, wasn't it?
It's gone to the old mana cost.
Let's just mouse over it.
5 seconds.
Yeah, there we go. It's 100, 150, 200, and then cost per second was the same at 20, 25, 30. So it's a slight nerf. I honestly don't think it hurts Timbersaw that much.
It hurts him in the early game a lot, because if he's like, Timbersaw's a very snowbally hero, right? So if you don't get the items up early, he kind of sucks. And that was the same pre-patch, and now after it, it's even harder. If you don't get something like mana boots up pretty early, you know, once you're hitting the chakram, you can only sort of use your spells once in the fight, and then you're kind of useless.
Yeah, but it's not that big. It's a level 6 spell that only costs 25 mana more. That just means every 4 casts, you just don't have a free 5th cast. It's only like a 1 in 5 kind of situation. It's not that much.
It's not a huge nerf, but it hurts. It hurts, man.
I think it's not as big as Batrider's, but I think that just kind of limits Batrider's capabilities in a one-on-one lane. Instead of just completely dominating and killing you, he just either has to focus on getting last hits by getting quite a few stacks up of napalm, and then you have to be seriously out of position for him to grab a kill. But I mean, even then, the Firefly still just as damaging with that napalm. It's just the right clicks that hurt slightly less. So
I think they've just taken away the ability for him to play mid.
yeah,
I think that's about it. He's like almost just a jungler now. Or an offlane.
I think he could go off lane, and like if we see a Nature's Prophet versus Batrider, I would still give the advantage to Batrider.
Yeah, he'd struggle to last it a bit more, but with napalm stacks, it's fine because you get the extra damage anyway. But yeah, he's just not as good and not as broken. Like, I think it's what they needed. The only 2 or 3 heroes I want to see now are like PA, just for lol crits.
Oh yeah, just the stifling dagger crits. I can't
stifling
wait
dagger
for
hitting
that.
for like 460 pure damage. That's gonna be fun. And Luna
Right click chain frost
is another one.
Most broken. Most broken
it's
change.
Not broken.
It's completely
awesome.
broken.
It's awesome.
Reserve.
Like,
And Lich actually is still in the pool.
he is. He was banned out as kind of one of the first bans in the last 2 games, and now he's just being completely ignored. I mean, TOA is going to pick up the Bounty Hunter, so if URNADO decide to jungle that Batrider, Bounty Hunter can just sort of follow him round in invis and level at exactly the same pace as Bat.
Yeah, one of the things with that though is it's XP sharing, so you know when it's happening. If you can't tell that you're getting 50% experience, you've probably jungled a Batrider like once.
Yeah, it's very, very noticeable once you kind of pick up a hard
Luna.
camp. And we're going to see Luna, and that change to Bouncing Glaives. It can now hit targets that it's already hit where it didn't before. So, think about it.
But she does less damage per bounce now.
5%.
Yeah, but that's a lot once it gets to more bounces.
Yeah, except then it can bounce back, so it's more damage. Because it couldn't hit them before. So if it bounces back more damage, if you only get hit once by a bounce, less damage. Bit of a trade-off. I still think it's a buff, not a nerf.
Oh, it's a
massive
buff, man. Come on.
Like, think about it. If you are on Luna and you catch 2 heroes, they're trying to gank you, you throw out Eclipse, you hit Bouncing Glaives, and those Glaives are just going choo 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 right in between them. You've got a right-click Chain Frost.
Dude, I saw that today.
Every right-click.
I saw it today. It was amazing. Like, they were spread out by about 250 range, so you could see the glaives nice moving between. It was awesome. And Luna's the right click Lich ult, and now Lich is on TOA with the Lich ult.
The actual Lich ult.
And if you don't know, guys, the sacrifice now does the same thing as before, except when you sacrifice the friendly creep, it grants XP to both enemies and allies. So what you want to do is deny it quite far away from the enemy so they don't get the experience and you get the full experience. Like, the XP isn't shared, I believe it gives full XP to both enemies and allies, but it just means that now offlane Lich can actually level, not just deny.
Reserve time.
And even as a support, you're just getting extra experience for your team.
And it's something that you really, I think, kind of sacrifice. I don't know about kind of more pro plays because he fell out of the meta basically as soon as I started watching Pro Dota, but the kind of general skill build that you go is to map max the
10
Frost
seconds to
first,
go.
you get usually about 2 levels of sacrifice up, but that's usually enough to sustain you during the laning stage and during the game. The cooldown increase wasn't that much, but I mean, now that it grants you experience as well, it's pretty big having those extra few sacrifices in a lane.
Yeah, definitely. The Frost Armor obviously is a very strong spell. I think it's
10
very
seconds to
underrated,
go.
giving 9 armor max level and the movement and attack slow when they're attacking you.
5
And that
seconds.
is fantastic against Luna, because it hits everyone. So she's going to get slowed by the Frost
Reserve
Armor.
time.
So a decent counter pick against Luna, and the Abaddon picked up
Dyer's pick.
for URNADO. I've seen it a couple times post-patch now, and every time he's sort of felt like dead weight. Rather than, you know, keeping everyone alive, he has very large mana issues, and he can't sustain himself very well. So he kind of feels like but he's fantastic for dual lanes and fantastic if you pick up a Weaver. But other than that,
10
I'm not a
seconds to
huge
go.
fan. But he can keep the Luna alive, and now we see the Juggernaut pick,
Radiant's pick.
which wasn't a buff; it was just a fix.
Yeah, exactly. You can now use items during that ultimate, and also the healing ward speed was increased, so did
Yes.
receive a buff there. So that healing ward now moves at 450 instead of 300 movement speed, I believe. It just kind of means that it doesn't fall horribly behind. Makes that healing ward a little bit better in team fights, just because it can keep up.
10 seconds
Well,
to go.
Healing Ward has 300 base movement speed,
5
and then
seconds.
gets buffed. So actually, is it slower?
No, because the
Because it
base
used to
goes
share
up.
your movement speed.
No, it never did.
Well, it doesn't say on the tooltip that it goes up. Damn these tooltips.
The tooltip
I didn't know they'd
changed.
actually changed Healing Ward.
Yeah, healing
I
ward
must have missed
speed
that.
went up, and Invoker also picked up. So Invoker
And
now
Invoker got
at level
buffed
1
too.
Invoke can get 2 spells. So Invoke at all levels
Which
is
is
now 2
insane.
spells. It's pretty damn powerful.
Level 3, you have 2 spells.
Yep. So you can
Instantly.
have 2 spells, then invoke a third, instead of having 1 and then invoking the second. So you can chain together things like Cold Snap with Deafening Blast as well as Sunstrike if you need to, but that's a level 4 thing because you need 1 in each.
Yeah.
But it opens up a lot more opportunities early on for
10
Invoker.
seconds to go.
And Exhort Invoker now is really strong in my opinion, because you've got the Cold Snap and the Sunstrike
ready.
at level 3. Like instantly, you can combo it up. You can get solo kills a lot easier, and they are going to send him mid. Obviously, you can't pick up that null anymore because no one can really pull him the regen, so that hurts him a little not being able to get that. Sitting on 43 base damage, and he's most likely going to be going against the Timbersaw. Yes, which is going there. So I think Timbersaw could actually win this lane quite easily.
I think it'll all depend on positioning here. I mean, Invoker doesn't necessarily need to get very close for last hits. If he manages to take off a good block, keep the creep equilibrium back a bit, it's made easier if Timbersaw is throwing out those Welling Deaths because it will start to push, but then you get the counter push from the tower. So I think it's going to come down a lot to the positioning of
30
this
seconds to
Invoker
showtime.
and how well he can do early on, and see if he can kind of stop that damage coming out from Timber. I don't think it's an easy win because, I mean, if Timber comes forward, Invoker can just start cold snapping him. Now he's caught between Invoker and the Radiant creeps and taking a lot of damage, so it could backfire very easily.
Yeah, it certainly could do, and it looks like TOA. Where's their Lich? Lich is sitting mid, so he's going to deny. And
The game is
this is
on.
actually really nice because he's going to give the extra experience to Tobzino. So we'll have a look and see. Bam, extra 31 experience each. Instantly has that slight edge in mid, and Invoker doesn't get a whole
Boom.
creep experience.
60 experience TOA lead.
62 experience, man.
No, I know,
Come
but it's
on.
just on the experience graph. It doesn't have 2s. It just goes up by 10s.
Oh, that's lame.
Yep. Damn graph. But anyway, let's introduce the teams. They're already laning. In the mid lane for URNADO, we have Delete 12 on that Invoker. In the bottom lane, we have Boredom is Fun on the Luna, as well as Athi, the stand-in on the Jakiro, and Squirtmaster 420 Blaze It on the Abaddon. On the Batrider, we have Meet Your Playmaker.
And over on TOA, I'll start with the tri lane. Bok Choy is going to be playing that farming Juggernaut. Ocelot is playing the Rubik, and Godzilla sitting on that Lich, denying another creep. Tobzino is going to be playing the Timbersaw in the mid lane, and Selena Gomez on that Bounty Hunter in the off lane. And this off lane, actually, now that the reduced damage, I think Bounty Hunter should be okay here.
Yeah, you can already see he's sitting up at 3-1. Batrider sitting at 2-1. But throwing out that sticky napalm, throwing out the Firefly, it's going to keep him back from that creep wave for a little bit.
Yeah, I think actually, Meet Your Playmaker should have taken sentries up here.
And now, Gomez is actually going to get caught here. Batrider knows the kind of line he's going to run, and Selena taking quite a bit of damage there.
Yeah, and this try the aggressive tri lane's definitely doing a little bit better. They need to get aggressive once they all hit level 2, I think, with the Frost Nova coming up, and obviously they're actually just getting more experience as well because of the Lich. So you're just innately doing better just from that. And he's going back and sacrificing the range creep every time, which does give slightly less experience, doesn't it?
Yes, it does. But it keeps the wave pulled back.
Yeah, it keeps the wave pulled, so you're sacrificing a little bit of experience, but, you know, everyone's a high level.
Well, we're going to see a lift come out onto bottom is from the Frost Nova as well. And the Blade Fury. Is it going to be our first blood? Yes, it will. The shield tried to save him, but it's not going to be enough. And Bok Choy, the farmer in the offensive try, picking up that extra gold. And that's what you want to see. That's boots for a Juggernaut in a tri lane. And that gives your killing, like, so much more killing potential and blades of attack.
Every single time they want to kill someone now, they can. Especially once the Juggernaut's level 3, because he will hit it before the Abaddon hits level 3. And a lot of it's going to come down to, can the Abaddon get the heals out and get the Aphotic Shields out well. If he doesn't, then it's easy kills. And if he does, then they're still probably just going to kill them anyway.
Well, yeah, we saw just then, the shield came out, it was, you know, doing its job, but the Blade Fury damage was too much, and Juggernaut still could have dived a little bit. He has gone second point into Healing Ward, so they do have the sustainability if they want to dive a little bit. Another lift is going to come out. Frost Nova, in comes the shield as soon as he can, but the Blade Fury damage, one more right click, the heal comes out. That level 2 on Abaddon saving him for now, and some nice.
He should have waited till
there.
level 3. Yeah, they really should have waited for that level 3 to click on Juggernaut. He casted the Blade Fury as a level 1 Blade Fury. If it was a level 2, he would have killed him. Because it would have done 20 extra damage for 5 seconds, so it would have ticked him down that extra bit, but I mean, maybe misjudging that a little bit from TOA, but how much regen are these guys having to crack off for this? You know, they still look like they've got a lot of regen, but that's probably because the Luna instantly died last time and didn't waste any.
Yeah, it's still a lot of economic damage. Of course, you can't run that kind of combo with the Juggernaut too often because he has such horrible mana. It's why you occasionally see a bottle picked up for him, because it's basically 2 sips and you're at full. Or even the Soul Ring sometimes gets picked up, because you can, of course, pop the Soul Ring, pop a Healing Ward to be instantly healed and get some more. We're going to see Delete 12 doing a lot of damage to Tobzino in this mid lane. Cold Snap already used, and he's just using Exhort and Cold Snap to harass him out. Earlier, we saw him throw out a Sunstrike and took Tobzino from full to about a third, just with the Cold Snap kind of and Sunstrike damage.
Yeah, I mean, I might have misjudged this mid lane a little bit. This Invoker is hitting quite hard now with the 3 levels in Exhort, but Tobzino's still winning in the last hits, but he's got to be a little bit careful now, because Invoker, he just sit there and auto-attack you while you get those last hits, which is exactly what he's doing.
And reactive
with
armor,
the empty bottle.
I mean, reactive armor is great, but it's not the be-all end-all. It gives you a little bit of armor, and armor doesn't really help against Sunstrike. If you get a Cold Snap put on top of that, it's not kind of over time damage that you're receiving. It's kind of, I'd call Invoker a semi-burst hero. You definitely get bursty when you're getting kind of Yules into Sunstrike Meatball Deafening Blast territory, but, you know, early on it's semi-burst, and reactive armor doesn't help with that at all.
Yeah, exactly. It's not going to help there, and I just got a pop-up message saying Bloodseeker was picked somewhere, so I got a little excited, sorry.
And now Boredom using the Lucent Beam to farm, and that shows you how defensive this tri-lane has to be. The Luna sitting at level 3.5 with 6 and 1. Bok Choy sitting at just over level 4 and in the offensive try at 23 to 6. So at the moment, TOA securing the early lanes. Timbersaw doing well in last hits. Not necessarily winning, but definitely kind of more of a wash than I guess you were expecting. Bok Choy definitely getting the advantage on the Luna. They already grabbed that first blood. And in top lane, Bounty Hunter and Batrider pretty much dead even as well. So at the moment, I got to give the advantage to TOA. If we look at the graphs, they are leading by about 1.2k experience, as well as being ahead by about 1.7k gold.
Yeah, they're getting these little extra bits, partially because of the Lich, partially because of that first blood, but I think their lanes are just, all in all, going like a little bit better for each one. As you said before, there's no huge advantage anywhere, other than the fact that they killed Luna, and Luna is getting nothing. Like, 9 last hits on a Luna. Luna needs farm. Luna is super farm dependent. Other than the fact that her ulti's good, that's it. You just kill her. 530 health at level 3. It's free gold. It's just free gold walking around on this giant cat thing.
Giant cat. I gotta say though, compared to all the heroes, the model may look big with the Panther, but if you take into account like the size of Luna versus, say, Abaddon, he's got to be like 10 foot tall.
Yeah, she's just little.
And Juggernaut?
She's like kit height.
Imagine Juggernaut sitting on Nova.
Don't forget though, you've got to. It'll just be his waist up. She's just thin.
She's also
thin.
small. We're gonna see a smoke up from the supports on the Dire. They know that the Juggernaut's safer now. He can always just spin to win and run away. And they're looking for a kill on this Invoker. This is the reason why he wasn't really picked as a mid very often, is that he is quite easy to gank. He doesn't have access to that QQ walk, nothing in Wex at the moment, but he knows those supports are missing and he's playing very far back in the lane at the moment. Could even use that Forge Spirit to scout if he wants to, but at the moment just securing some last hits.
It's good too. Forge Spirit gives him -1 armor per hit and he gains +1 armor per hit. It does nothing!
Except for
Except
creeps. And the regen a little bit, yeah, but that is a nice kind of interaction that I hadn't thought of until like just then. And we are going to see an 8-minute Midas picked up by the Invoker, so he's going full on right-click build. Are we going to be seeing the Midas Crystallis kind of build coming out from him?
The Dire might want
if that happens, this is basically Dota 1.
Them Dire buildings are tough
Like, that used to how that was the go-to for Invoker back then, and I'd actually like him to go to this medium cap and use the Midas, because there's no small cap here. There's a big centaur there. So much extra experience. Push out the wave, use the Midas. Very, very effective on this mid now. And maybe we'll see more Midases picked up in mid just because of that.
Well, that was something I was going to mention earlier. We actually saw Luna rotate into the jungle and kill off the small camp earlier, so it's something that you can sort of do if you're in this position against an offensive try to just grab that little bit of extra farm. It just cost her a tango, basically, so, you know, I think all in all that's still a gain in golden experience, so pretty decent. But so far, apart from that first blood, a very passive game. Only 1 kill in 9 minutes, and I think at the moment, URNADO, we might be seeing a kill in mid. Tobzino knows the Sunstrike's coming out. He dodges to the left, but now only 2 bottle charges left after a nice little deny of the last tick. And on bottom, bottom is fun going down. The Blade Fury Ice Path is not going to hit, and the ultimate comes out as well. Bok Choy picking up a 2nd kill. And Godzilla is just leaving that sacrifice at level 1. So not wanting the extra cooldown, just going for the casual deny every kind of wave and a half.
Yeah, I mean, that's fine on this lane. They've got so much killing potential. Getting 3 levels in the Nova I much prefer, and the 1 level in the Frost is an extra 3 armor for Juggernaut's fantastic. And the slow whenever they hit him, so I think that's the right build for this lane, I gotta say. And you know, the creep spawning every 30 seconds, you're basically getting it, as you said, every creep wave, creep and a half, and there's no real loss. And I think these supports now could move around even more, but I think they're quite content with just killing Luna.
Yeah, Juggernaut has finished up his phase boots with almost 500 gold in the bank still. Is this where we see him go for a Shadow Blade?
He is sitting on the drums as well.
That's what I said.
Sitting
I said drums completed and 500 gold. Come on, bud.
Oh, no, you said phase boots completed and.
Oh well, if I said phase, I meant drums. So yeah, my mistake.
That's why then. I was like,
I moused over it. Yeah, drums completed. He had phase way long ago.
Yeah, he had those at like 2.5 minutes.
There you go.
Come on, man.
Getting on your case when I should be getting on my own. seeing and saying two different things. But yes, drums completed, almost 700. Do we see him go into something like a Shadow Blade, get a bit more aggressive? Because more than likely, Luna's going to transition into that jungle. If you can get some Shadow Blade pickoffs on that Luna, I think it would be a great investment.
Yeah, I mean, the cooldown has been nerfed from 18 to 28, so long cooldown on it. But yeah, if you're just going to go get a kill, it's fine. It doesn't really change anything. I think the only thing it changes is being able to initiate and run with it. Unless it's a long fight, of course.
We are going to see a smoke up from the supports.
Mid-tower could use a hand.
And they are going to be revealed. No, I think it may have just run out there, but they're going to wrap around. They know where the Invoker is. Big nukes coming in from the Timbersaw, and basically kills them off solo. A little bit of right-click. Will the Forge Spirits be able to pick him up? A couple more hits. The Frost Armor gets thrown out, but those Forge Spirits are just too slow.
Mid-tower's getting banged up.
And I think people underestimate how much damage these Forge Spirits do early levels with that minus armor.
Especially when there's two of them. He did go for the 4-4 build, so he had them available. And with Cold Slap and two Forge